Fine Chinaman here, and today we're going to talk about crazing. What is it? Okay, crazing is a cracking in the glaze of plates, cups, saucers, etc. that gives this crackle look to the plate. Some people actually like crazing. I personally do not like crazing. And I'll tell you some reasons why and some things you should be careful with when using crazed dinnerware. First of all, let me show you what I have in front of me, and I'm going to take you in close in a couple of minutes to look at these pieces, and we'll see how well the crazing shows up on the camera. But to start with, this plate here. Okay, this is the harbors of England, or ports of England, historic ports of England, that's what they call it. And this particular plate was my favorite plate growing up as a child that belonged to my mother. And so this was the plate I always liked to look at when I walked in the kitchen. It was always up on a plate stand on the counter. Stayed there for about 20 years or more. Recently she was going through stuff and she decided she was tired of it and didn't want it anymore, so I gladly took it. But this plate unfortunately is covered in crazing. Let's move on. Here we have Furnival's Limited Denmark pattern. A cup and saucer, a bread plate, and a creamer. All of these are from a set that my grandparents had. And these, well, the creamer's in great shape actually. No issues with it. The rest of these pieces here are in very poor shape. They may look okay on camera, but up close you can tell there's lots of problems. And the reason I chose to use these today is because they contain cracks and crazing. See, when you're looking at an auction on eBay, let's say, where you can't actually see the plate in person, I could get a picture of this plate that would look great. You wouldn't be able to tell. If I turn the camera the right way, I could take a picture to where the plate would look pretty much pristine condition. But see, that's not honest. But unfortunately, a lot of eBayers aren't that honest. So you have to be very careful. And what you want to look for in the description is that it says no chips, cracks, or crazing. Many times I've seen auctions that say no chips or cracks. You buy the piece, you get it home, it's covered in crazing. What you can do in that case is ask the seller a question and make sure that you ask them, does the piece contain crazing? And for me, every once in a while I get somebody who doesn't even know what crazing is. They say, well, what's crazing? I say, little crackle marks in the glaze on the plate. Little very thin cracks. They don't go all the way through, and that's how you can tell the difference between a crack and crazing. And the people will usually look again at the plate. Oh yeah, it does have some. Or no, I don't see any of that. And then you know that you can buy the plate. This particular plate here, and I'm sure you can't see it from there, but it's got crazing all over it, but then it's got one big crack line, and it's actually taken on a different color because food has gotten in there. The thing that really tells you that it's a crack and not crazing, because there's crazing lines everywhere in here, is that on the same place in the back, there's the same line. That tells you it goes all the way through. That's a crack. Whereas crazing is crackling in just the glaze. It hasn't hurt the plate itself, but just the glaze on top. So of course you're not going to see the same exact lines in the same exact spots on the top and bottom of the plate. Now, as far as using these and why I said to be very cautious, there's two things. Usually the plates that are crazed are older ones. Older plates used to contain lead. Some new ones may too, but they try not to have lead in China now. But the old ones definitely contained a lot of lead. So if you have a crackling in a glaze, I'm no expert on lead, but doesn't it make sense that the plate could more easily leach out items when you're using food, especially food that's wet and damp, not dry food? Wouldn't you think that could contaminate your food? I think so. Again, I have no proof on this, but I would be very leery of using a plate like that. Now the other thing though, not just your own health, but the health of the plate. Now see, this plate, although it is covered in crazing, it's actually crazed worse than any of these. This plate has horrible crazing on it. But you know what? There's no staining. And so this plate looks great hanging on a wall, or on a plate hanger, on a countertop, anywhere. It's fine. It's a decorative plate. That's what it's used for. If I were to start eating off this plate, what would happen? Well, you have lots of little cracks in the glaze. So, food or liquid from the food is going to start seeping in those cracks. And you're going to get staining in the plate. And the plate's going to be ruined. So, as far as Craze plates, you don't want to eat off of them for your health. And you don't want the plate to have food on it either, or it's going to not be any good. It's going to be ruined. So with all that said, let's take a closer look at these pieces and see how much of this crazing I can show you on the camera. Okay, while capturing it on a still photo is pretty simple, getting it on a video is not. So as you see, hopefully you can see, between the rim and the center part of the plate, there is a bunch of crazing there. You can see that all the way around. You can see those lines. Those lines, following kind of in a circular pattern, are the crazing. Now they don't have to be in a circular pattern. Let's see if I can get these. Further along it's really checked. It's like a little checkerboard. It's just all little squares. But that's what crazing is. Now let me show you what the crack will look like. Okay, so this piece has crazing and the crack. I can't tell right now if you're going to be able to see the crazing on this, but you see that yellow line up there? That's the crack. If I flip it over, look at that. The same line. That is a crack in the plate, devalues the plate greatly. This plate isn't really worth anything. Whereas if it was just crazed, it'd be worth a few bucks. If you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.